Scott?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thank our witnesses. They've outlined a total mess, and we didn't need to hear that. I think all of us have heard that from our colleges and our districts. But you've also pointed out exactly what the cause of the mess is so that we can actually take some corrective action. Ms. Cruz-Kane, I understood your testimony to say you had a list of deficiencies. Some had been corrected, some not corrected. Is that right?
That is correct.
Do you think that list is exhaustive, is complete, that you don't expect to find other problems? If we can get those solved, we'll be straight?
Well, they have to solve those problems first, but with each different cycle, the department intends to include new requirements, so the requirements that they did not include in the initial release, and each one of those has to be thoroughly tested. So we do expect them to find a number of defects. You do find defects anytime you test. They really need to focus on solving those defects before the functionality is deployed for the students.
Now, they have a contract with IT experts. Do you have confidence that the IT people they've contracted with can actually perform what they're supposed to do?
I think if FSA oversees the contract and follows the best practices for systems development and testing, they could deliver the functionality, but from what we've seen, the oversight, the testing issues, if they keep managing it the way they are, I don't have confidence that they'll be able to deliver the functionality.
Is that a problem with the contractor or the department?
We didn't look into that, but the department did tell us that the contractor did cause the delays. They had delivered the functionality later than expected, but that is something that you should be ongoing, having discussions with your contractor when you're doing your oversight. So I think there's blame on both parts.
You mentioned the call centers, that's come up several times. Has that problem been solved?
We'll see what happens when the new FAFSA rolls out.
Translation services were mentioned. Have they been fixed?
Those have not been fixed. I think we'll see what happens on whether they have enough people to answer the phones. The translation services have not been fixed. We have recommendations in that space. Students or their families who do not speak English or Spanish have no clear path towards translation services currently with the call center, even though that's the prime venue for getting translation services. At this point in time, there's no call center prompts for that, and the department's own website incorrectly tells people to press the number 7, which gets them nowhere on the phone system when they call.
I understand there was a problem for people who reside in Puerto Rico. Did you identify that as a problem?
I don't know that Puerto Rico specifically came up in our work, but there were problems for many people with many of the technical issues, and we could look into that for the record.
Okay. Notwithstanding all the problems, I understand that students actually did receive there was more eligibility for Pell than before. About 500,000 more students were eligible for Pell, is that right?
That was not part of our study. We do anticipate a new study looking at the beneficiaries of the new formula, and we will be looking at that in our new work.
Is there anything we can do in the formula to increase the number of students who could be eligible for more financial aid?
We'll look into that in our new work.
That is something you're going to be looking into?
We do expect to be looking at the effects of the formula and examining what changes, if any, could be made.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.